Hey guys, thanks for checking out the video today. So if you enjoy this video, please make sure that you subscribe to my channel. Make sure that you hit the bell so that you get updates when I post videos, and make sure that you check me out on Instagram at Wrench Rampage. So what are we doing today? So today is going to be the HKS super sequential blow-off valve versus the mighty Tial blow-off valve. So I'm sure that people who are watching this video sit around with their friends and BS about car parts and what's the best and what's the worst. Well, sitting around with a few of my friends, we talked about blow-off valves. One guy liked the Blitz, the old school Blitz blow-off valve that has a integrated small filter on it. And that one's a classic. It's sort of shaped like a little trumpet. And that's way back in the 90s. Another guy decided to buy a Tial, which is a new school blow-off valve for high horsepower applications. However, you do have to switch out springs to make it work correctly, which is fine. And then for me personally, I like the old standby, the HKS Super Sequential, which has been around forever. It's been knocked off thousands of times probably by other companies, so you have to be careful what you buy. But my personal outlook in this upcoming non-scientific test is that the HKS is the grand champion of blow-off valves and of 90s JDM sounds. So we'll see if you agree, but we're going to be switching some blow-off valves around, taking some drives, and seeing how these perform. So stay tuned. Okay, so here I have my 1990 R32 GTR. It's an RB26 powered car. It is a legit GTR. The body is in somewhat in disrepair, but the drivetrain's very solid. If you look at some of my older videos, this car's quite built up. It is in a bit of an old school flavor. Lots of sort of old school parts. It's still running the twin turbo setup, but it's the Nurspec turbos off of the later R34 GTR, and it makes 500 wheel or thereabouts on pump gas. Now, the blow-off valve that I use for this car is in fact the HKS Super Sequential. Okay, so this is one of the valves that I have. I have a few spares of these, and this is the HKS Super Sequential blow-off valve. So it is on the R32 GTR here, and so what we'll do is we'll take this for a drive and we'll see how it sounds. It is quite loud. So we'll take this thing for a drive and yeah, turn up the volume and see what you think. All right, so we're in the GTR. Gonna go for a ride, take a listen to this blow-off valve, and so that we can hear what it's like in roughly the same horsepower. Well, the EVO 5 that my friend has is about 100 horsepower more than this, but still about the same horsepower for our non-scientific test here. Get out of my neighborhood here, which is super bumpy. I don't know if you can hear it at low speeds, but it is still quite a sharp blow-off sound. That's kind of the HKS MO. A little bit of a kind of a sneeze type sound. robin type sound here. So we can do a semi-fair comparison to the Tial. Alright guys, so there's a little taste of the HKS Super Sequential. Often imitated, but not duplicated. That's the blow-off valve, in my opinion. However, let's take a look at the high power EVO 6. We'll take a listen to the Tial, and then we'll swap it out for the HKS Super Sequential, and we'll get someone else's opinion. Devin's the owner of that car. And if he likes it, I would imagine it's going to stay on the car. If he doesn't like it, well, then right back to the Tial. So we'll see what happens. All right, we're at Devin's place to take a look at the Tial blow-off valve and record some Tial blow-off valve sounds for our comparison here. So let's take a closer look. Devin's trucking around and mixing up some E85 for his car here. So there's the current blow-off valve, which, is it loud? No.
I mean, it breathes, right? It's not, it don't whistle.
Yeah, so.
It'll probably look cool though, because the whole piston should come up.
Oh yeah, okay. So we're gonna do some video of the valve actuating and try and get some good sound clips so that we can hear the before and after. So we're gonna go from the Tial to the magical period correct HKS Super Sequential. We're gonna see what kind of a change that is and whether Devin appreciates it. If he doesn't, that's okay. We can go right back to the Tial. But we will see. Okay, so we're in the 600 horsepower E85 powered EVO 5. Gonna go take a look at how this Tial sounds. So we're just warming up the car and doing some logging at the same time. So yeah, just to see whether the HKS Super Sequential will affect any sort of airflow or do anything funny with the car. So this is just really just for safety. Do you think that the Super Sequential blow-off valve compared to the Tial will show up on the logging?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, I kind of don't think so either, but on the off chance, we're gonna do some logging anyway.
Like Tial makes you put springs in for vacuum, engine vacuum, like specific ones depending on how much vacuum you pull.
Yeah.
I don't even think the right one is in this, so I mean, I'm sure that there is something, but
yeah, we'll see.
I think it'll be fine.
We'll see. Is
it still working?
What happens? Oh yeah, no, it's still
nice.
on. Yeah. So the other thing that's come up is that Devin had replaced the exhaust to exhaust that's probably a little more restrictive, but way exponentially quieter.
Exponentially quieter, so much quieter.
So he basically had a straight pipe exhaust on this car before, which was cripplingly loud.
Like undrivable.
And so the idea was to make this a little bit more livable as a street car. So he put on a HKS, is it the high power silent? Yeah. Okay, so he put on the HKS high power silent, and we're just concerned as to whether the car is going to build boost now if it creates a restriction.
It's like a recurring theme with this car. Every time I do exhaust stuff, I put too much restriction in and stop the turbo from spooling.
Yes.
When I imported it, there was a blanket in the exhaust.
Yes.
Didn't allow the turbo to spool. I then tried to quiet it down again with a resonator, and that was a little bit too much restriction. Couldn't spool it, but I'm sure HKS does a good job.
Yeah, I think so too. Oh, it's building boost. Yeah, you hit almost 30 psi there.
Cool. Now I wonder if it knocked into anything crazy.
I don't think so. So the I think the high power silence fine when you hit 30 psi in second gear. Yeah, I think we're good for restrictions.
Which is that's good. That's good because it's so much quieter. It's so much nicer.
Oh yeah. But I gotta say the blow-off valve, really quiet.
Super quiet.
Like really quiet.
It doesn't really sound like much of anything. And now that the car is so much quieter, everything is in stealth, which is I mean, it's not the end of the world, but.
Horsepower of the 600 and change.
It feels good.
Yeah, and not deafeningly loud.
Yeah. I wonder what it sounds like. It kind of sounds a little. It just sounds so quiet.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that same sort of sound that it used to have. Mind you, I mean, arguments can be made whether or not a 4G sounds good, no matter what.
Yeah, that's the thing. I always find them to be very mechanical sounding.
Yeah, they sound like they're angry about whatever you're making them do.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, we're back after the pulls. That Tial blow-off valve is super quiet. So we're gonna see if the super sequential is a little bit louder, which I would assume it's going to be, because it is super loud in the GTR. And so we hit 30 psi of boost. I don't know if is the exhaust showing any sort of restriction at 30 psi. Like, is it? No, eh?
No, it's building to 30. I mean, pretty darn quick. There's no other fucking way to say it.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Like
I think you were almost out of the gear a bit early.
Oh, I was on both of them because
yeah,
you don't want
to launch into outer space.
Yeah. Like it's at.
Yeah, I think the exhaust is officially not a restriction if it's building that quickly.
Did you know things soon? My injectors got lots of space stuff.
Well, that's going to be handy for a retune.
Yeah.
So this is the old exhaust kind of hiding out here, which was that muffler there is completely devoid of any sort of baffling or anything. It's just basically an empty can. What are we doing today, Devin?
Oh, we're going to change that blow-off valve. Nothing wrong with her. Just going to try something new.
So we're going to go from the Tial to the period correct, wondrous HKS super sequential with all the noises.
Should be fun.
Oh, wait, we're doing something else today.
Oh, yeah.
So we have a diff here. just threw a rally art cover on just to paint it so that it looks half decent. But in here is a 12 plate aftermarket setup. They are like a ceramic coated plate with the spring plates are 4 times the tension of the stock setup. As well, it has modern coatings on it, so it's going to grab really hard. So the idea is that the stock setup is really not made to hold 600 plus wheel horsepower. So this should be quite a bit more reliable, using modern materials and modern technology, and it'll lock nice and hard. It'll pair up with the amount of power that this car is putting out. So we're going to throw that in as well today. See how that goes.
Fun.
All right, so the fit up is really good, and I'm just going to run a bead through here. Get that HKS flange on there. All right, all welded on, ready to rock and roll. HKS super sequential. The tile, maybe gone forever, we'll see. But we'll see how this sounds, how it works, how much boost it holds in this thing here. So I'm just finishing throwing a new diff in here, and then we'll take it out for a rip. We'll see how this this guy sounds. Okay, so the HKS blow-off valve is finally on the car. We also put a new diff in the car. We're gonna try that out as well. So diff is in. I haven't dropped the car off the lift yet, but we'll get to that. And HKS blow-off valve is in. So next step is to take this thing for a ride and see if the sound is better or worse than the Tial. This is again a totally subjective test. All right, let's get non-scientific. Jesus, that grabs hard.
Yeah. Holy fuck. Good stuff. Man, what a fucking machine. Who put this thing together?
Yeah, no kidding. Like 5 different people.
Yeah, usually things built by committee don't go well.
Sounds good.
Feels good.
What do you think of the blow-off valve? Is it a keeper?
100%. I'll do some logging later.
Yeah, definitely.
It could have been like, it could always be the diff or something else changing, but man, that was a violent 4th gear run.
Yeah, well, this is definitely louder than the Tial you have.
Oh,
though, right?
Well, easily.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
Easily.
All right, guys, so that was the test drive with the new HKS blow-off valve, and sounds like a bunch of things were solved. There was some part throttle issues with the Tial, which really rolls back to picking the right spring for that blow-off valve. And unfortunately, with the wrong spring, the tile was hanging open and causing some part throttle surging, especially at really low speed, low RPM. So with the super sequential, it cleared all that up, so the drivability is increased and the sound is fantastic. So like I said, this is an unofficial test. This is a non-scientific, but just preference-wise, I like the super sequential. Sound is good. It's traditional 90s, and that's what we're left with. So I hope you enjoyed the video today. Make sure you hit me up on Instagram at WrenchRampage, and come back and check out a video again. Have a good night.